Alright, so welcome back to the 3 years to go pro vlog and what's been happening regarding track training these past few weeks. It's been pretty eventful for a few reasons. Let's get into it. So the first thing is that I've had my first major injury for the season. So fortunately for most of the year, I've been pretty injury free. There was a little scare at the start with my foot at the heel part, but eventually went away with a bit of rest. But a few weeks ago, I had an Achilles problem after running at the hill. I'll get more into running on the hill, but had a little Achilles problem. I stayed, went to training again the next day, and I couldn't really run without limping. So I just stopped it there. Went to coach, told him that got the masseuse, he rubbed it down, suggested I ice it and I get a specific type of rub. It doesn't seem like a very medical, active immediate type of rub, but more like a therapeutic ice hot rub more than anything. It's a locally made, but that's what he did. So basically kept doing a regimen of icing and resting and rubbing for about a week. So that would have been on the Tuesday that I had the run on the hill. On the Wednesday, couldn't really train properly, so from the Wednesday, Thursday, it was all rest, and then on the Friday, he came to training, and it wasn't a lot of work, basically just a walk, stretch, and then go back home, and you continue to rest, ice, rub it down for the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then go on to the next week. So by Saturday, I couldn't really feel the Achilles pain anymore, just walking around, but I continued to ice it and the rest and all of that. And for the next week, he had a basically reduced workload, so coach didn't want to jump back into the full training. So for the next week, it was a bit less work to do overall. So for that week, most of the training wasn't done on the road or outside of the track. So Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all that was just a few 100 or 200 meters on the track. And then on a Tuesday and Saturday, I would do runs on the road here, but it was more slow than normal. So basically the coach tried to reduce the workload so that the injury didn't aggravate itself any more than it needed to. And it's actually kind of interesting and kind of worrying, but to get to that is that the new shoes, I got the Puma shoes. When I was looking at it online after I got it from coach, he said that there were some issues with Achilles problems. I can't wrote it off at the time, but still had it in the back of my mind, and it turns out while running in these shoes on the hill, that's when I came with Achilles problems. So I'm going to have a plan to kind of work on that, but for the most part I've been using the Asics shoes and only rarely using the Puma shoes just to make sure they're not worn out fully. But now as for why I was even running on the hill in the first place, because as I said in the past few vlogs, I've been trying to go to a more flat area, didn't have as much hills, so that it could be better on my knees and my ankles. Well, my father doesn't really like me going down to any main roads to run, because some years ago he was running on a main road, got hit by a car, and that was a big scare for the family, so I guess he's a bit paranoid, and rightly so about that. But the issue is that if I'm to go anywhere that's flat, that doesn't have cars going by pretty often, there'll be an extra hour of driving to and from my grandmother's house. And the plan is that you're going to be doing that every Tuesday right before class, as well as every Saturday. And that's not really energy efficient, first of all, but also just planning for school. That doesn't really make sense. I'm trying to find somewhere else that can possibly work. I think I found one place that is near Manor Park, but is more in the community area than around the main road. So hopefully that can start working out a bit better. But that's why I've been running on the hill even in the first place. Another thing that has changed is that the core was usually done on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But because of school times now, you have class at 9 o'clock for most days. It didn't really work out in coming home from training, then trying to quickly do the core work, then bathe, then go into classes. That didn't really make sense. A lot of rushing when you should be preparing for class. So I think the best way to do it nowadays is to put it into Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday, that's when I do the core work. But on Tuesday, I would run at home, so of course you can get back quicker if I don't have to go all the way to grandma's house. On the Thursday, the training's in the afternoon, so I can do the core work after, since there's no classes after that normally. So that's another benefit. And Saturday, of course, I have the whole day ready, which is to do core work and then school work and all of that. So that's the new plan, working out that you do the core work on the Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And it's going to be a bit of actually something else is happening, but let's go back into that a bit later as well. So while I was training at UA, as you know, I train with the UV team, and it's mostly the hurdlers that are there with Coach Coleman, because he's the hurdles coach and the long distance coach at UA. Hansel Parchment, the Olympic bronze and gold medalist in the 100 and hurdles, he's there sometimes. And when I was doing some of the 200-meter runs that Coach still gives me to do, he said that my feet are moving around too much in the shoe. That one means they're probably too big. Now I wear size 11, and its toes are pretty much at the top. It's just that my feet are very narrow and they kind of bend in towards the end. So I still have a lot of space in the front, so we kind of move around. So he said that that kind of movement in your shoes when you're pressing, that can cause issues with like your ankle and with your shin and your Achilles. So I should try and get smaller shoes if I can, just to reduce the amount of movement that's happening when you're running. Even if it's a bit more uncomfortable with the smaller size. He said he experienced that it's kind of tight on his foot, but he had less injuries once he switched to that. Now, I can't just go and get another pair of shoes right after I got these already. So I had to do the old-fashioned week-on way of putting newspaper at the top, or cotton on the top in this case. I got some cotton from a pet store, put in the top, and then hopefully that just reduced the amount of space I have to slide around. It's kind of tight, and a lot of times when it's freezing on my foot, I start getting cramps in my foot that I have to kind of just press out and hope they go away quickly. But that's something at least. So pretty good to get advice from an Olympian gold medalist. But I'll have to work with the cotton in the shoes unless you're going to get like 10.5 and then try to work as best you can with the squeezing on the foot, and hope that just reduces whatever injury concerns are there in the first place. Yeah, and as for the Puma shoes, so they're actually not as, despite they're both being 11, so the A6 is a size 11, Puma shoes are also a size 11, but I don't just manufacture differences or whatever, they're just not as tight, they're not as loose. They still have the same headspace, but it's kind of more narrow at the top. So I should be running in those, but the issue, like I said, is that it feels like that's a contributor to the Achilles problems. So one thing I'm hoping to get online with Amazon is that an insole for the shoe that's to help with Achilles problems. I actually tried for an afternoon that the class was cancelled, tried to go on the road, so like sports stores, I went to like Western Sports, Payless, Giscom, MK Sports, this place near Malines Road, all of those places, and find an insole. Nobody has insoles for track shoes. I can't understand how that happens when Jamaica has so many places for so many upcoming sprinters, and then nobody has places for insoles, which some people need. So online you'll see multiple options for insoles that'll help with Achilles problems. So hopefully I can get one of those, order it, and then get them sent over, so I can start going back to the Puma shoes, doing that with the A6 and our Puma shoes, just to balance out the amount of wear while not having much problems with the Achilles and the heel and all of that. So lots of work to be done in just injury reduction. Hopefully these can help, because it's been a pretty good season, all things considered. In previous years I had a lot more injury concerns with like my hip, my knee, my Achilles as well, my heel, a lot of injury concerns. So it's been a good about a year or so in total since I had those major concerns. But it started up again, so hopefully I can just mitigate it as best as possible going forward and continue to improve. And like I said, I hope I improve, because we haven't had any meets or any road races to test it out because of the COVID situation. Most of these things are cancelled, and even so, in Jamaica, I'm not going to have many on-track runs for 5,000 meters apart from road races. So those would have been the main barometers of how much I'm improving. And then like you get one or two right before the national championships or the trials, to just test out of 5,000 meters. So actually, because of the COVID situation getting a bit better here, they are planning to have a road race on February 20, the main Sigma road race, like I said, but actually cancelled and pushed back because of a spike in cases. But it looks like it's more under control now, so they push it back to March 20. It's going to be an invitational run where you have different sets of people at different times, and you go, it's around 200 people per set, I think that's what they're saying, and you try to do that. So hopefully that can work out. It's for March 20th, like I said, and haven't had any real experience running road races, so hopefully I can get a good idea of where I'm at in fitness based on that run that will happen. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to. And I have a bit of reason to be a little more concerned than normal about just the fitness in terms of racing, because Campion, my coach coming from Campion, said he basically, one of my past teammates, he's basically running by himself. He was doing 800 meters as most of them would do. So if we could just come one of the days and help him out just to run or act as a rabbit for him in or pacemaker in the 800 meter at training. So normally I would do that when I was a Campion, because I had to work with each other since it's only two people doing long distance work. Even though I'm 5,000, he's 800, still have to work together. So doing the 800, it was about what I expected overall. I could still keep the pace up for a good amount of time. Like I said, I'm not very good at 800 in general, so a lot of times you get cramps when I do the 800. But this time I was able to keep it under control, and I was pacemaker for him the whole time, so he could work on his own speed. But afterwards, when I was going home, I noticed that I started to cough a lot. So I have some type of asthma. It hasn't come up except when I'm sick. This was one of the first times I can remember, outside of the season openers for like a 1500 meters where I have the coughing situation. So that's kind of worrying that my fitness wouldn't be at the place where that's no longer an issue. But it went away in around 2 hours or so. Didn't have any problems with the coughing. Hasn't come up since. So that's overall good. But still would have hoped that with the training I've done, fitness wouldn't be any type of issue, even when you're doing 800. But I guess when you're training for 5,000 urgently and then dropping down to 800, it's still gonna have to be a big adjustment in terms of what your body's expecting and how it manages the air inflow in and out, especially on a dusty grass track. So I would have hoped that I could have done that without any issue, but it is what it is. The time was 2:09 that I got on the grass track, so I actually don't remember at all how good that is in terms of 800. I think that's faster than normal, but I don't remember. I think it's good for him as well, since I believe he has the ability to run around 2:05 or lower on track, but because he's training by himself, he don't really have the confidence to do that on track when he sees people that run out much faster than he does, and then not having the confidence himself to close down on them over the next 400 meters. So I've got a good help out as normal. Just kind of would have hoped that I would be at a higher level of fitness than I seem to be at. However, it's still to be seen how we work in the 5,000 meters. Like I said, there hasn't been any road races, any track races, so it's all to be seen and to be done in the future. And for the last thing, there's been a pretty big shift in training. So you're still doing the 200s and 400s, which I'm not biggest fan of, what you can tell. But coach has also just recently sent me a gym workout that's to be done separate from the training in the either twice for the week, and he gave me a list of things. So fitting that in with training and then school and then the gym, that's going to be a sort of an issue. I think at this point I can't carry my laptop anywhere because it's broken, the screen is broken, and because you're in Jamaica, you can't get replacement parts without shipping it off to the US and waiting months for it to come back. So it's an issue to get that fixed. So it has to be just basically a desktop at this point in time. But because I need to be doing some classes at my grandma's house, just closer to the UV track, I think at this point I've had fit into my schedule. The best I can do is a Monday and a Thursday. So on the Monday I would have the training at the track, then go to the class at my grandmother's house, and then go back to the gym, and then go home to bathe and whatever else, and then go back to classes, which will be at around 3. So from 10 till 3 is what I have to do the gym, and then come back home and bathe and do the classes as well. So that's about the best I can do on the Monday side. On the Thursday side, of course, I'm training in the afternoon. So since it's not many, since you don't have classes in the afternoon, normally sometimes you have meetings and seminars and things like all of that. Plan is that you have my classes in the morning, and then you go to school for training, and you go to the boat for training, and then afterwards you would have the gym work, and then either you do the core work at the motor bowl, or you come home and then you do the core work and you go and bathe, and then whatever assignments you have to do, you're trying to work on that. So, bit of a challenge to fit it all in. I think it's seriously more considering trying to move down to my grandma's house, just being closer proximity to the training grounds, so that's not an hour drive going and coming every time, less gas, less time wasted and all of that. But for now I'm still at home, so gym work, it's pretty decently divided between your upper body work and your lower body work. I went there one day of the past week because it's a totally new program. I just wanted to get an idea of what it all is, so I'm not doing it on the first day and I'm wasting a lot of time and figure out what even to do, who even to go to and ask. The kind of attitude that you have to have with gym people who don't really understand road races, that you have to just kind of nod and go to whatever they're saying in terms of how strong you are, because as you can see, I'm not all that strong in the upper body, but I'm much stronger on the lower body. But they're still making a whole lot of excitement about what you're putting on in the upper body or the lower body. So you have to just trust yourself and trust what you've been doing. But for just interacting with them, say, oh yes, I know, whatever, yes, you know about that, yes, okay, what should I do here? And then smile and say whatever, or start talking about how much you need to do the upper body and lower body. So that's all the changes, that's gone on for the past few weeks. You have the injuries, you have the shoes concerns, you have the gym work, you have the change in the scheduling for my core work, and yeah, they could buy some Olympian. So it's been a pretty eventful few weeks in the track side. Still working on the school side. Yeah, some of the classes are really good and interesting, and they encourage you to ask questions. But others of them, aren't so interesting. They don't plan for the day. They just talk and talk and talk, go the same point over and over. So it's kind of frustrating just to be sitting down, learning nothing new, just having a few notes of one page after 3-hour lectures. But that's all it is. You have to do what you need to do on the school side, so that it's not relying on success in track and field for your future, and work from there. So 3 years to go vlog, that's been about a few months I've been doing this. I'm pretty impressed with how I've stuck to it. I wasn't even sure if I'd go past 3 or 4 vlogs in the past, but to be going this far so far, pretty good at it. So hopefully I can continue to work on that, and then I'll continue even as you go into more road races, as they hopefully come back, and then whatever track races will come. So that's about it for the past few weeks, what's going on for me.